Hi, this is Thomas James. I'm 22 years old from Dublin, Ireland, and I'm going into my fourth and final year of college studying music production. Today I'm here to talk to you all about my EP, Odyssey. Odyssey was an EP that I wrote after I took a year away from college for many reasons, and the main reason for writing Odyssey was to see if I still wanted to be a musician. I was having a lot of thoughts about walking away and no longer being a musician, and it was really difficult for me to cope with. So Odyssey was how I came back to music. Odyssey to me is probably one of the most important things that I've ever written. Each one of the songs on the EP represents a different stage that I came across during my year away. Odyssey, for example, is the entire year itself and the journey that I went on. Pursuit of Escape is about me leaving a job that initially I really did not want to leave. And Rehab is about my journey mentally and where I started the year versus where I've ended the year and the change that I see in myself. Some of the influences for this album are the likes of Ed Sheeran, Alesso, Mr. Bill, Keshi, Joji and Tipper. Just to name a few, but my inspirations come from many different places, which really helps me define my sound as an artist. So we're here, we have the project for my song Rehab open, and I wanted to show this for a couple of different reasons. First one is to show that you don't need a studio or massive amounts of equipment to be able to write music. A lot of the time I will write on the bus or sitting on the sofa or on the bed at home. The creative process takes place in here, and it also takes place on my laptop or an iPad or whatever you have. The second thing I wanted to show was kind of a little bit of how I work. I work a little bit differently to a lot of people because I use two programs to finish my songs. This one here is the first one. This is Logic, which is only available on Mac PCs. This is the one that I write all of the songs in. And anything creative will happen inside of Logic. So this is what Rehab looks like. If you haven't heard Rehab, I'll just play a little bit of it for you. The main thing I wanted to show from this project before I show the second program and show you what Rehab looks like when it's finished is the main sound, what you might call the lead sound. The sound that I'm going to show you is this one here. There's two parts to this sound. The first melody is played on one synthesizer, and then the second melody is slightly different and it changes to a different synthesizer. So this is what it sounds like without any of the effects on it. To be honest, I don't remember how I started with this. It was very much in the moment. I just decided to try something. So if you put the effects back on, you end up with something very different. that one sound really made the whole song, and I suppose the lesson from this is to use effects, to use software to do things that they weren't originally meant to do. The main piece of software in this is meant for vocals, is meant for live performance, but I found a way to use it to get this sound instead. So the main thing is to try things all the time and try silly things and see where they bring you. This is the second program that I use. This is Pro Tools. This is generally what will be used for mixing and mastering for the majority of songs that are heard on the radio. The reason I use it is because it's the program that I learned on in college. Most people would just finish the song in one program, and that's perfectly fine. This is just the way I'm more comfortable. If I make everything larger, you can see that everything has been converted to an audio file, which makes it a lot easier on the computer, and it also makes it easier for me because that means I have committed to certain sounds and it helps me finalize the song. The main piece of advice I would have, regardless of what software you use, what method you use, is to use whatever you have at your disposal. The things that I need are my ideas and one or two pieces of software on my computer. Everything else is more of a luxury. I would recommend, if anybody is looking to try this, to explore some of the free options that are online these days. One of the free pieces of software that I used became the introduction for Bravo, the first song on the EP. And if you want to see a video on that, you can see it on both my TikTok and my Instagram at thomasjames. The main thing is to try what you have, expand what you have if you can, but the main thing is to learn and to stay at it. You will find the methods that suit you the most, and that was the case for Odyssey. Odyssey was the first album that I used this method of using two programs, and I think it's by far my best work. I suppose the last thing to talk about was why to use different programs. This program, Pro Tools, as I said, is used by a lot of people whose songs end up on the radio. That doesn't mean that it's the best for writing music, and I personally think that it's not. It is specifically designed for finishing songs that have already been recorded. Songs that will look like this, where there's just audio files and essentially you are just polishing a song that is 85-90% done. For composing, there are other software like Logic that I use, which is some of the cheaper software, but it is still very expensive. It's quite an investment, which is why I think you should use some of the freer options. Something like GarageBand, which again comes with Mac and comes on iPads, is a very simplified version of Logic. There is also free softwares, open source softwares, so you can find something that works for your budget. Ultimately, what software you choose depends on what makes you feel comfortable. So if you're looking to get into music production, that would be the first area I would really explore. Maybe go onto YouTube or Google and look at the different options. Ultimately, you are the person who limits yourself, not what you have, not what technology you can get, because there will always be something else that you want. So, my own experience, you focus on yourself and bettering you as a person, and the music will come too.
In the next few moments you will hear my song Odyssey, which gave the EP its title. The artwork is a picture of me that was taken, which I then commissioned, and I chose it because when I saw the picture I knew immediately that it fit both the theme and the vision that I had in mind for Odyssey. So here is the titled song Odyssey, and I hope you enjoy it.
you all so much for listening. I hope you all really enjoyed Odyssey. A huge thank you to ESPOL for inviting me into the Sonido y Movimiento Festival. Thank you all so much. I've been Thomas James, and I will see you soon.